Hey everybody, it's Damon. Welcome back to Probot Toy Cinema Film School. Today I had an idea that I wanted to try out. A fairly simple effect, I think, and I realized I had everything that I needed to, give it my best shot with what I've got. And so I thought I would share what I had in mind, because I'm not 100% sure it's going to work, but we're going to find out together. And though it is a fairly simple concept, what I'm trying to do is a kind of a tricky maneuver that many filmmakers have failed. A few have died trying, and what I'm trying to do is a simultaneous three-way film reference. And so I'm going to be referencing three different films all at the same time with one shot scene. That's going to be a non sequitur for my new behind-the-scenes Disney Gallery Mandalorian parody. And so what I'm going to try to do, to be more specific here, is to simultaneously reference The Empire Strikes Back, Rocky, and old Popeye cartoons. And how I'm going to plan to do that is to have Mandalorian here. This is actually the stuntman of the Mandalorian. And he's going to be hanging from the ceiling here like Luke in Empire Strikes Back. But the Wampa is going to be pummeling him kind of like the meat in Rocky. The meat bags, the meat hanging from the ceiling in the meat locker. And so that's going to be reference number 2. But the third thing is going to be, I'm going to amplify the sort of cartoon physics to be more like the Popeye cartoons, in that he will be pummeling him like a punching bag, but in that sort of rhythmic Muhammad Ali, back of the hand pummeling, where he'll be like going boobada 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 real fast from side to side as he's, rhythmically pummeling him like that. And that's it, but hopefully I'm hoping that people will realize what I'm trying to do there. And the Popeye thing, is the biggest reach, that people won't necessarily get that reference, but hopefully they'll get the others. My set, as you can see, is very bare bones, just a few elements, but I feel it's very effective for how simple it is. I had all this stuff, so this actually cost me nothing. I am starting, of course, with a classic Kenner Star Wars playset base. This is from the Star Wars Turret and Probot playset, after which, of course, my animation company was named 20 plus years ago. And I am extra thrilled every time I get to use an element from that playset in any of my videos. So I'm going to use that as the foreground element and the floor, but also I'm going to flip it over afterwards and shoot some frames of it with, as a ceiling element as well. So I feel like it'll work double duty that way. I've also got this crystal back here, which I'm only using to cover the tauntauns. I'm not really sure how it'll be placed, but it'll be over here. And then I think I'm going to actually have to shoot a comp of it over here when I shoot the ceiling to block this other tauntaun. Because obviously tauntauns would not be hanging out in a Wampa Cave. So those are the two, physical elements. And then the third thing, of course, is the background. And Star Wars fans, of course, will recognize this as Ralph McQuarrie concept art from The Empire Strikes Back. But my little trick is that I printed out the same piece of art twice in order to achieve this widescreen wraparound effect, but also the added bonus on it is that it kind of reverses the composition of the art, in that the original art has the walls of the ice cave kind of framing the entire art, and sort of draws your eye to the tauntauns in the better lit rear chamber. But I'm sort of, flipping that on its head in order to utilize the seam and the symmetry created, the not quite symmetry created from the art. I didn't reverse the image. It's the same image twice, but it still has a nice symmetry to it when it does, meet up. You don't really notice this. It hides the seam, the symmetry of the ice cavern itself in the sort of geometry of it. The eye is now drawn to the center and away from the art, so you just kind of take in the art, but the eye is drawn to the subjects in the center. So that, I feel, has a really nice extra bonus to it. And so this wraparound effect, 3D sort of effect, is achieved. I do this in my dioramas just because it works so well. But it works in film too because it sort of fools the camera into seeing this as a 3D rather than if I had it just flat. So the way I achieve that is before I glue the cardstock to the foam board, I slice parallel lines all the way along the entire length of it, and then you can break, but you don't slice all the way through. You leave the front untouched, and so you can break it into pieces that then create an arch on the other side that is relatively well hidden by the artwork. And as long as you don't light it harshly, that that sort of reveals the seams because I've bent it too much. But as long as I don't light it harshly like that, hopefully that won't be noticed. And so speaking of lighting, my scheme for the lighting, I've got a loom cube here with a blue gel on it, and I've put it on a really low setting so that I can do some really long exposures. But the goal here is to not have any direct light hitting my Wampa, because of course you'll notice in the artwork, all the light in these caves is ambient light. It's sort of coming from a source above in some sort of hole in the cave above, and coming down in kind of a beam and hitting this hot spot up here. So I'm aiming my light to hit that hot spot so that it just creates ambient bounce around of nice blue light. And of course, the ceiling is just a cheap plastic shelf unit that I have disassembled to just use this one layer of the shelf, and I only am using 3 legs on it so that it has this wide open part where there would be a column here, but I don't want any shadows and I don't want a column there, so I am just sort of letting that teeter, but I'm going to glue it all down so it won't move. But I've also got some blue gels on my ceiling fan lamps above, and I've unscrewed the other 2 lights that were aiming the wrong direction so that the wrong kind of light wasn't bouncing around. I do have some of the wrong kind of light, but I want it where I want it. I didn't want it coming from there. What else I've got a very greenish light coming from that warmer LED. All of these are LED lights, bulbs that were made to replace the old incandescent bulbs. And that one's supposed to be warm and yellow, but to be honest, it's very green. Then over here I've got in my desk lamp a classic daylight blue-white bulb that looks a lot warmer than the blue gels, but isn't quite as warm as that light coming from the other side. So all that makes a big mess, but what it does achieve is to have the Wampa stand out in the middle, so that once again the eye is drawn to the correct spot. The trick that I'm going to try to achieve here animation wise is to utilize this Rubik's Cube to help me with the animation, because I don't have a real animator would use helping hands to hold the things in position or whatever, that are these little metal arms that come in and can be adjusted in all these directions, but I don't have any of those. But what I do have are these cheap Rubik's Cubes from, you know, a 25-cent machine that their stickers long ago fell off. But what I'm going to use it for is for the incremental movements that I need so that he will, you know, go up, bounce back. He needs to go, he needs to be hit, bounce up, hit the ceiling. Oh, yeah, he needs to be hit the ceiling, hit this other side, come back, be hit this way with the other hand, hit back that way, hit this side, hit this way, back that way. So it's this back and forth, back and forth. But I need the incremental changes. So this Rubik's Cube is going to allow me to, you know, hold him in all the positions that he needs to be in. And you know, of course, he's very stiff. I'm using the retro figure for a reason, but because he's the stunt man, not the real, not the real Pedro. Anyway, I need to secure this Rubik's Cube to the ceiling here, but I also need it to still be able to move on that one axis. So that's why I've got the cork here. So the cork glued to the ceiling, the Rubik's Cube glued to the figure. Wampa, boobity 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 boom. Fly like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Let's see if it works.